Absolutely, Jennifer said, her voice calm but firm. But I also believe we need to be careful about destroying people's lives over mistakes, misunderstandings, or incomplete narratives. Joy nodded slowly. On the surface, it looked like agreement, but there was something in her eyes that suggested she wasn't satisfied, not convinced, not finished. That's interesting, Joy replied, adjusting the papers in front of her. Because there have been some recent stories about certain celebrities, and it makes me wonder whether you think there should be different standards for different people. The question lingered in the air longer than usual. Jennifer's media training kicked in instantly. Her posture remained composed, her expression neutral, but viewers watching closely could sense a subtle tension forming beneath the polished exterior. I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically, Jennifer answered carefully. But I believe everyone deserves to be treated fairly, regardless of their fame or status. Joy's smile tightened. It was no longer warm, it was practiced. Really? She said. Because I've heard some interesting things about how certain people in Hollywood operate. People who present one image to the public but behave very differently behind the scenes. The studio audience shifted in their seats. Jennifer's publicist, visible just off camera, stiffened. The other hosts exchanged uneasy glances, silently asking the same question. Where is this going, Joy? Jennifer said, her tone still controlled but now edged with warning. I'm here to talk about my work and my projects. If you have something specific you want to discuss, maybe you should just say it directly. That was the moment everything changed. Instead of pulling back or redirecting the conversation, Joy leaned forward. Okay, she said sharply. Let's be direct then. The room seemed to shrink. There are rumors, Jennifer. Joy continued, her voice firm and unapologetic, about your behavior on sets, about how you treat people who work for you. Some very credible sources have painted a picture that's quite different from the image you present here. Silence. Not the polite kind, the suffocating kind. Jennifer's face flickered, surprise then anger, before she reassembled her composure with visible effort. I'm sorry, she said slowly. What exactly are you accusing me of? Joy hesitated for a fraction of a second. She knew she had crossed a line, but instead of retreating, she pushed forward. I'm not accusing you of anything, Joy replied. I'm asking you to address the allegations that have been made. What allegations? Jennifer shot back, her voice rising now. You're sitting there making vague insinuations without naming a single source or a single incident. This is supposed to be an interview, not an ambush. The tension in the studio was now undeniable. Camera operators glanced nervously toward the control room. Producers whispered urgently through headsets. No one could decide whether cutting to commercial would calm the situation, or make it worse. Joy's co-hosts remained frozen, unsure whether stepping in would diffuse the conflict or ignite it further. I think our viewers deserve the truth about the celebrities they support. Joy continued, seemingly unaware or unconcerned about how badly the exchange was spiraling. And if there are questions about your character, don't you think you should address them? Jennifer stood up slowly. The movement was deliberate, controlled, but it sent a ripple through the audience. My character, Jennifer said, her composure finally cracking. You want to talk about character. She gestured lightly toward the table. Let's talk about ambushing a guest on live television with unnamed sources and unspecified accusations. Let's talk about the character it takes to do that. The audience gasped. Joy stood as well now, abandoning her chair. No one forced you to come on this show. Joy snapped. You don't get to control the questions, and you don't get to smear someone under the guise of journalism. Jennifer fired back. If you had facts, you would have presented them. Instead, you're throwing shadows and hoping they stick. Joy scoffed. That's convenient. Jennifer's eyes flashed. What's convenient is hiding behind rumors, so you don't have to take responsibility for what you're implying. The studio felt like it was vibrating. Whoopi Goldberg finally leaned forward. Okay, maybe we should. No. Joy interrupted sharply. I want to finish this. Jennifer laughed once, short, humorless. You want honesty, she said. Here it is. I've spent my entire career surrounded by people who expect perfection and give very little grace. I work hard. I expect professionalism. And yes, I hold people to standards. That doesn't make me a villain. Joy crossed her arms. Some people would disagree. Then let them say it with their names attached. Jennifer replied, not through whispers you're using for ratings. The audience erupted. Half applause, half stunned silence. Joy's face flushed. You're deflecting. No, Jennifer said. I'm drawing a boundary. Joy stepped closer. You don't get special treatment because you're famous. And you don't get to destroy reputations because it makes good television. Jennifer shot back. That was the breaking point. Joy reached up, yanked the microphone from her collar, and tossed it onto the table. I'm done, she said coldly. She turned and walked off the set. Gasps echoed through the studio. The cameras kept rolling. Jennifer remained standing, chest rising and falling, visibly shaken but resolute. No music played. No host spoke. Millions of viewers watched in disbelief as the realization set in. This wasn't just a heated exchange. This was a line crossed in real time, and when the clip hit the internet minutes later, it didn't just go viral. It detonated. Because this wasn't just about Jennifer Lopez, and it wasn't just about Joy Behar. It was about power, accusation, and what happens when live television goes too far. And no one can stop it. What happens when two powerhouse personalities collide live on television and everything spirals out of control? Today, we're diving into what many fans still call the most explosive moment in The View's history, the day Joy Behar and Jennifer Lopez went head to head in an argument so intense it didn't just shock viewers, it permanently changed the show. This wasn't a petty celebrity disagreement or a tense exchange of opinions. This was career-ending drama, unfolding in real time before millions of people. Before we break down how this shocking moment unfolded, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Because what happened next was something no one, not even the producers, saw coming. It began like any other routine interview. Jennifer Lopez arrived at the View Studios looking every bit the global icon she is, poised, radiant, and camera-ready. She wore a tailored cream-colored blazer that complemented her flawless makeup and perfectly styled hair. The makeup team had done their work, the lighting was dialed in, and the studio audience buzzed with excitement. This was Jennifer Lopez, after all, an entertainer whose presence alone commanded attention. Joy Behar sat in her usual spot at the table, papers neatly stacked, glasses perched low on her nose. She looked relaxed, confident, and ready to guide what everyone assumed would be another friendly, uneventful conversation. "Welcome back to The View," Joy said with her familiar, warm smile. "And today we're joined by the incredible Jennifer Lopez." The audience erupted into applause. "Jenny, it's always such a pleasure to have you here." Jennifer smiled graciously, crossing her legs with effortless elegance. "Thank you for having me, Joy. I love coming on the show." And for the first several minutes, everything went exactly as expected. They talked about Jennifer's latest business ventures, her recent performances, and how she balanced her demanding career with family life. Joy complimented her discipline, her longevity, and what she called Jennifer's impossible work ethic. The audience laughed at Joy's jokes and applauded Jennifer's thoughtful, polished answers. The chemistry felt easy. Comfortable, safe. Then Joy leaned forward slightly, her tone shifting just enough to register. "So, Jenny," she said, tapping her notes, "you've been in this business for decades now. You've seen the industry evolve, especially when it comes to how women are treated. What's your take on cancel culture and accountability?" Jennifer's smile didn't disappear, but it tightened. "Well, Joy," she said carefully, "I think it's complicated. I absolutely believe in accountability. People should take responsibility for their actions. But I also think cancel culture can sometimes go too far. It can erase people without allowing space for growth." The audience murmured softly. Joy nodded, but her eyes sharpened. "But isn't that what accountability is?" She pressed. "If someone abuses power, shouldn't there be consequences, especially in Hollywood, where powerful people get away with things for years?" Jennifer shifted slightly in her chair. "Yes," she replied, still calm, "but accountability should come with fairness. We can't build a better culture by tearing people down completely. We need room for learning, for change." Joy raised an eyebrow. "That sounds nice," she said, "but it also sounds like something someone with a lot of power would say." The studio went quiet. Jennifer blinked. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean," Joy continued, her voice firmer now, "you've benefited from the system. Fame, wealth, influence. It's easier to preach forgiveness when consequences don't really apply to you. A ripple ran through the audience. Jennifer's posture straightened. Joy, I've worked for everything I have. I didn't come from privilege. I came from the Bronx. I fought my way into every room I'm in. Joy smiled. But it wasn't warm, sure. But you're not exactly fighting anymore, are you? You're protecting the status quo. That's when the temperature in the room changed. Jennifer's expression hardened. I'm not protecting anyone, she said. I'm saying that public shaming isn't justice. It's spectacle. Oh, come on, Joy shot back. That sounds like someone who doesn't want to be questioned. The audience gasped, questioned. Jennifer repeated, incredulous or attacked. Joy leaned back in her chair. We ask hard questions here, Jenny. That's kind of the job. And there's a difference between hard questions and loaded accusations. Jennifer replied. Her voice was steady, but unmistakably edged now. Whoopi Goldberg shifted uncomfortably beside them. Sunny Hostin glanced down at her notes, clearly hoping to redirect the conversation. But Joy wasn't done. You talk about fairness, Joy continued, but when artists with massive platforms stay neutral, it protects abusers. Silence helps no one. Jennifer shook her head. That's not true. I've supported women. I've donated, advocated, mentored. I just don't turn it into a performance. Joy laughed sharply. So now you're saying activism is performance. I'm saying, Jennifer replied, her voice lowering, that not everything has to be done on camera to be real. The studio audience was completely silent now. Joy leaned forward. You know what I hear. I hear someone who doesn't want to get uncomfortable. That did it. Jennifer placed her hands flat on the table. And I hear someone who confuses confrontation with courage. Gasps echoed through the room. Joy stood up. You don't get to come on my show and lecture me about courage. She snapped. I've spent my career calling people out when no one else would. And I've spent mine building something instead of tearing people down. Jennifer shot back. The tension was unbearable. Joy's face flushed red. This is exactly why people don't trust celebrities. Jennifer stood as well. And this is exactly why conversations fail. Because you don't listen. Producers were now visibly panicking. Hands waved off. Camera. Someone whispered urgently into a headset. Joy threw her papers onto the table. I'm done with this. She turned, pulled off her microphone, and walked straight off the set. The audience sat frozen. Cameras kept rolling. Jennifer Lopez remained standing, stunned, breathing slowly as the magnitude of what had just happened sank in. No music played. No one spoke. This wasn't just an argument. It was the moment everything went wrong, and nothing at the View would ever be the same again. To smile in someone's face and then attack them, that was the accusation hanging heavily in the air now. The audience had gone completely silent, watching an unprecedented moment unfold before their eyes. Not a single cough, not a shuffle of feet. Every person in the studio could feel it. This was no longer television as usual. This was something else entirely. For the first time since the confrontation began, Joy Behar seemed to hesitate. Perhaps realizing she had gone too far, perhaps sensing the shift in public opinion even as it happened, Joy tried to backtrack. Jennifer, you were just, she began. You were just what? Jennifer interrupted sharply, her voice slicing clean through Joy's attempted explanation. You were just trying to create drama for ratings. Jennifer continued, her words controlled but devastating. You were just trying to tear down another woman for entertainment. Joy's face flushed deep red as Jennifer's words landed with precision. The veteran talk show host wasn't used to being challenged like this, certainly not on her own show, and definitely not by a guest who refused to play along. For decades, Joy had controlled conversations. Now the control was slipping through her fingers. She could almost feel the weight of millions of eyes watching this disaster unfold in real time. Now wait just a minute. Joy snapped back, her voice rising defensively. I've been doing this job for years, and I have every right to ask tough questions. That's what journalism is about. Jennifer let out a short, bitter laugh that echoed through the dead, silent studio. Journalism, she repeated slowly. Is that what you call this? She took a step forward, her gaze never leaving Joy. Where are your sources? Where are your facts? You're sitting here making accusations based on gossip and rumors, and you're calling it journalism. The words hit harder than any raised voice ever could. The other hosts finally attempted to intervene. Whoopi leaned forward urgently. Ladies, maybe we should know, Jennifer said firmly, raising her hand without breaking eye contact with Joy. Let her explain herself. I want to hear Joy tell me exactly what she thinks I've done wrong. A murmur rippled through the audience. Joy's confidence was visibly shaking now. Her shoulders stiffened, her jaw tightened, but pride wouldn't let her retreat. Not yet. There have been reports, Joy said, choosing her words carefully, about your behavior on movie sets, about demanding special treatment, about being difficult to work with. Reports from who? Jennifer shot back instantly. Name one person. Give me one specific example. She paused, then added coldly, You can't just throw around vague accusations and call it journalism. The tension in the studio had become suffocating. Even the cameras seemed to hesitate, lingering uncomfortably on the two women locked in confrontation. Joy's hands were now visibly trembling as she shuffled through her notes, desperately searching for something, anything, to justify what she had started. I can't reveal my sources, Joy said finally, her voice noticeably less steady. You know how this works. Jennifer shook her head slowly. No, she replied. I know how cowardice works, hiding behind anonymity when you don't have the courage to stand behind your words. The audience gasped audibly. Joy straightened, bristling. That's unfair. What's unfair? Jennifer said, her voice rising at last, is inviting someone onto your show, smiling in their face, and then trying to publicly assassinate their character without evidence. Joy's eyes flashed. So you're saying all these people are lying? I'm saying you don't get to imply guilt without proof. Jennifer fired back. And you don't get to disguise it as concern or accountability. One of the producers could be seen waving frantically off camera, signaling for a commercial break. No one moved. The control room was losing control. Joy opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, she looked unsure. Not angry, not defiant, but exposed. I think you're overreacting, Joy finally said, though the words lacked conviction. Jennifer smiled, but it wasn't warm, no, she said quietly. I think I'm reacting appropriately to being disrespected on live television. She glanced briefly toward the audience, then back at Joy. You wanted transparency, Jennifer continued. Here it is. I've worked harder than most people will ever understand. I expect professionalism because I give it. I don't apologize for excellence. Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then stronger. Joy raised her hands. This isn't about excellence. It's about accountability. Then be accountable for what you just did. Jennifer replied, Own it. Joy inhaled sharply. The silence stretched again. Then, abruptly, Joy reached up and unclipped her microphone. I'm done with this, she said flatly. She dropped the mic onto the table, the sound loud and final, and turned away from the camera. Gasps filled the studio as Joy Behar walked off the set. The cameras kept rolling. No music, no transition. Jennifer remained standing, her breathing steady now, her expression resolute. She looked around briefly, as if grounding herself, then gathered her composure with quiet dignity. No one spoke. Millions of viewers at home stared at their screens in disbelief. This wasn't just a heated exchange. This was a collapse of control, of credibility, of something that could never be undone. And as the clip exploded across social media within minutes, one question dominated every headline, every comment section, every debate. Had live television finally gone too far? Because after that moment, the view would never look the same again. Joy stammered, clearly rattled now. That's how journalism works, she insisted, though the conviction that once defined her voice was noticeably absent. Jennifer's eyes narrowed, her patience finally evaporating. Your sources? She asked sharply. Joy, we both know you don't have sources. You're repeating tabloid garbage and trying to pass it off as legitimate questioning. That statement hit a nerve. Joy's face shifted from flushed red to a deep, angry purple. How dare you question my integrity? She snapped. I've been in this business longer than you've been famous, and that's supposed to give you the right to ambush people. Jennifer fired back instantly. Experience should have taught you better, not made you more reckless. The studio audience was completely captivated by the unprecedented showdown unfolding in front of them. Some audience members discreetly reached for their phones, recording despite the posted rules. Others sat frozen, mouths slightly open, as if unable to believe what they were witnessing live on daytime television. Joy stood up abruptly, pushing her chair back with a sharp scrape that echoed through the studio. She squared her shoulders, matching Jennifer's stance. "I don't have to take this kind of disrespect from anyone," Joy declared, her voice trembling with anger, "especially not from someone who thinks they're above being held accountable." Accountable for what? Jennifer shot back, her voice rising now, her famous composure completely gone. "You keep saying that word like it means something in this context. What exactly am I supposed to be accountable for? Working hard, being successful, having standards, Joy repeated mockingly. "Is that what you call treating people like servants?" Jennifer's jaw dropped. "Servants," she repeated incredulously. "What are you even talking about? Do you hear yourself right now? You're making things up as you go along." Behind the cameras, the control room had descended into chaos. Producers were arguing over headsets, frantically debating whether to cut the feed or let it continue. One assistant whispered urgently, "This is out of control," while another muttered, "The ratings are going to be insane." It was television gold, even if it was also a complete disaster. "I am not making anything up," Joy insisted, though her voice now lacked the authority it once had. "There are people who have worked with you who have very different stories to tell." "Then bring them on the show," Jennifer challenged immediately. The words landed like a gauntlet thrown at Joy's feet. "If you have these people, if you have these stories, then present them properly," Jennifer continued. "Don't hide behind anonymous rumors like some gossip blogger." Joy's mouth opened, then closed. She tried again, but no words came out. For a brief, devastating moment, she looked like a woman caught in a trap of her own making. She had no names, no witnesses, no receipts. Jennifer saw the hesitation instantly. "That's what I thought," she said, her tone cold but controlled. "You don't have anything real. You're just stirring up drama because your ratings need a boost." That was the final straw. Joy's face contorted with rage. "My ratings?" she shouted. "My ratings? Let me tell you something about ratings, Miss Lopez. This show was successful long before you started coming on here, and it'll be successful long after people forget about your latest project." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. "Is that a threat?" Jennifer asked quietly, her voice suddenly low and dangerous. "It's a reality check," Joy snapped. "You think you can come on here and disrespect me on my own show? You think your celebrity status makes you untouchable?" Jennifer stepped closer to Joy, closing the distance between them. For a split second, it looked like things might turn physical. Security shifted nervously near the edge of the set. The audience gasped audibly. Joy's face went white, then red again. What flashed across her expression wasn't confidence anymore. It was desperation. The desperation of someone who had lost control of the narrative. The desperation of a host who had underestimated her guest. The desperation of a moment that could not be undone. And as the cameras continued to roll, capturing every second, everyone in that studio, and millions watching at home, knew they were witnessing something that would be replayed, debated, and dissected for years to come. This wasn't just a heated argument.